So tonight we'd like to cover all the aspects of a tragic murder of a woman 52 years old who was murdered not that far from here, about a year ago. And recently some of the details came to light, which they interrogated the terrorist who reenacted the scene and went through a lot of the details. So we don't have all the details, but we have enough to go through the case, examine it, and there's some leeway in terms of some of the attacking details, but we can work on those. So first, the general concept. Let's go through what happened. A woman goes running alone in the forest. Okay, I'm emphasizing the words alone and forest. We're living at a time of war, basically. We're living with terrorism. We're living in areas where things happen. And there's like a Talmudic concept which is called Mu'ad Lepor Anut, a place that's known for trouble. Being alone is not good. Being in a forest alone is worse. So without criticizing the dearly departed, these are mistakes. You don't go running alone in the forest. Man or woman, certainly a woman. It's a mistake. Next we see like this. The woman was an athlete. 52 years old, but fit, and a runner, not a professional athlete, but a very fit person. And what do we say that while it's good to be fit, fitness is not protection, self-defense. People go to classes to learn Krav Maga fitness, they're learning fitness. You want to lose weight, that's terrific. You want to be healthy, that's terrific. You want to learn how to run, you better learn how to run very fast. Because fitness does not protect you. Having a beautiful, fit body does not protect you from being killed by a terrorist or by a criminal. So those are important things we need to know. Now let's look at what happened next. This was a crime of opportunity, meaning it wasn't planned. A guy didn't wake up in the morning and go grab a knife or a gun or work out some sort of plan. He didn't. He went to collect mushrooms. Little Red Riding Hood, going to collect mushrooms in the forest. And he happened to see a woman who was visibly Jewish, because she was dressed in a traditional Jewish way, which again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you're marking yourself as such. My teacher always said, never wear a Krav Maga t-shirt in public. It's good for business, but when you're on the plane, and there's terrorists, guess who's going to get attacked first? It's you. So don't wear anything that overtly identifies you as such. Now, there's ways that if you're in Israel, in your own country, etc., you should feel safe identifying as Jewish, obviously. But you also have to be aware of the fact that you want to dress this way, that's your choice. I dress this way, but I'm aware of it. I know I'm making myself a bit of a target. I'm willing to take that risk for my identity. But you have to be aware of the fact that if you dress in a way that's obvious to be a group that others will target, be forewarned that you're increasing your risk. You want to increase your risk? You want to invest in highly volatile stocks? Fine. But be aware of the fact that you're increasing your risk. Okay. Now, let's continue. So she goes running. And she's spotted by this Arab. And again, when I say Arab, I'm not saying all Arabs are bad. I just spent a few days in the hospital with wonderful Arab doctors and wonderful Arab nurses. He happened to be an Arab. Crime of hatred. But it's not implying that all Arabs are bad people. I'm not saying this to be politically correct, I'm saying it because it's true. Let's continue. So he sees her and she's running. And he wants her to slow down. Of course she's not going to slow down, she's running for her life. She understands what he wants. So he throws rocks at her and he hits her and that slows her down. What can you do in this situation? I'm not sure about this one. Maybe you can stop and pick up a rock yourself and throw it back at him. Rocks go in two directions. He's not a professional rock thrower, but there's one option. Maybe stop, pick up a couple of rocks, throw at him, maybe get lucky and hit him in the head, and continue running. So you don't have to continue running and being hit upon by rocks from behind. Maybe get behind a tree and take rocks and throw back. I don't know. But she didn't do anything about this. She didn't do anything. Let's continue to what happened next. What happened next is he came from behind, and again, I don't know the exact details, but it said he grabbed her two hands and pulled her from behind. And that's the first technique we're going to deal with. But I'll describe the entire scenario. That's the first thing that happened. He grabbed her from behind. She struggled. Again, she was an athlete. She was fit. She struggled, but she didn't succeed. So let's address another issue here. You always see these advertisements. You see some really tough, muscular woman who's a professional jiu-jitsu player who beat up a man. Look, women are equal to men. Women are not equal to men. There, I said it. Women are not equal to men physically. You do have the extremely fit woman who lives on the mat, who fights and competes against a random teenager who broke into the house and she beat him up. Yes, it will happen that a small percentage of the women will beat up a small percentage of the men, but that's not the norm. And when this is used for advertising, it's called lying. It's giving people false truth, giving people the idea that a woman can beat a man when it's extremely unlikely. This guy was not an athlete. The Israeli security forces had no trouble apprehending him, but the woman was an athlete. And all it meant is that she struggled a little bit before she died. It's unfortunate. And she did struggle. She did put up a fight. So he grabbed her from behind with the two arms, not exactly sure how, but we'll deal with that, and threw her to the ground. When she fell to the ground, it's an area with rocks, and she got hit in the head. Again, look at your surroundings when you're doing something. What's likely to happen if you fall? You're running in an area with rocks. You should be aware of the fact these rocks can be used against you. Situational awareness of the dangers around you. Okay. She fell to the ground. He jumped on her and he attacked her. It said he put his knees on her hands, which I'm not sure if they meant, it was in Hebrew, if it was the arm or the actual hand. So we're going to cover both scenarios. We've done arms in the past. It's very painful. And he held her down and he grabbed a rock and he smashed her head. She cried, she begged. Didn't do any good, of course. And then he let go of her, grabbed her by the ankles, dragged her face down, threw her on the ground again. She was still alive. She was face down. He took a boulder and he crushed her skull until she was quiet. The last point I want to make before we go to the next part, which is dealing with the actual techniques, is the family's reaction. And again, I'm not judging them. They're regular, normative people. Who could have done such a thing? Welcome to reality, children. I met a woman years ago in Holland, and she taught at the Anne Frank School. And in Germany, and I met her. She was a teacher or something, and she asked me what I do for a living. And I showed her some videos of our Krav Maga training, and she looked and said, "Oh my God, it's horrible." She saw a technique with a gun to the back. Who would do such a thing? You're teaching at the Anne Frank School, and you wonder who could do such a thing? Who could take a little girl and murder her, can put a gun to somebody's head? What world of fantasy and nonsense do you live in where you don't understand who could do such a thing? A lot of people could do such a thing. A lot of people have done such a thing, and a lot of people will continue to do such a thing. Welcome to the world, my child. This is the reality. We can't live in la la land. We have to know that these dangers exist. And if you keep saying, who could do such a thing, you're not going to train, and you're not going to be ready. You have to understand that these things can happen. And that's the first part of the class.